Hi, everyone. Welcome to the conversation. Today we have with us Andy Bauman, who is co-owner of the Emergent VR Encounter. Let's get it going. Andy, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having us, Nadal. Appreciate it.
No problem. So tell us a little bit about your arcade. Tell us when you guys opened. How long has it been?
Yeah. So a little history, right? I'm an ex Compact HP guy. So I kind of retired and was looking for something else to do. Got into some consulting with a museum who was looking to bridge the digital divide with the younger generation in terms of technology.
Yeah.
And so we started looking around and realized there were museums and artists that did installations in virtual reality. It was still kind of new,
Yeah.
but it was something that we got interested in. And
When
so
was
as a
this?
part of, this was early late 2017, early
Okay.
2018. So we kind of wrote the business model in 2018. But anyway, so as a part of doing the research for this museum, started recognizing this thing called virtual reality arcade was a category that was really starting to evolve. Again, I think right in 2016 is kind of when the first generation of virtual
Yeah.
reality equipment really came out. And so things were relatively new, but it was interesting, and you could see the kind of benefit and the value and where the use cases might go. And so after we provided that installation for the museum, we really started writing the business plan to look at how to open. We started that in kind of February 2018, and in July we opened. We're the first virtual reality lounge or arcade in the kind of Houston area. We're kind of in the Woodlands Spring area, but burb of Houston, and yeah, we've been going ever since.
And at that point, how many headsets did you have? What were you
So we
using to?
initially opened the store with 12 headsets. We had
Oh,
we,
that's
we
pretty
built
good.
kind of a private room, and so we had 4 stations in the private room, and we had 8 stations out in the front, and kind of an open space. And yeah, so we started there. We'd let kind of groups of couples go in the private room and kind of do VR back there, and then we had just kind of general population up in the front. And then, again, everything evolves, right? As we started looking at where technology was going, we started looking at the Roto VR chair out of the UK. And so we brought one of those in. As we started looking at the benefits of what Roto VR chair offered us, we started looking at racing simulators and brought a couple of those in. That was kind of in the end of 2019 into 2020, and then COVID hit. We had to shut down for a few months, like I suspect most people did. And so we kind of spent the time thinking about what we might do to evolve our space so that when things kind of open back up, we would be ready.
Right.
And that's when we built the bar. We host quite a few corporate events, team building events. We were
You
getting
built the bar in the middle of COVID, or
Yeah, we did. We
wow,
built the bar while we were shut down and the store was, kind of dead. We're like, hey, let's go put this thing in, right? Let's
good time to
utilize the
build things when it's dead.
here in Texas, it takes a little while to get a liquor license or a beer and wine license,
Hmm.
and so we just kind of said, okay, let's use those couple of months, let's evolve the store, and so we kind of benefited from that.
Okay. And what were you? What headsets did you use when you first opened?
So we opened completely with Oculus.
Hmm.
So we had the original Rift.
Hmm.
We never really looked at HTC. I can't necessarily tell you why, but we've been an Oculus shop. We went from Oculus to Rift S, and right now we're mostly HP Reverb Generation 2 with some Valve Index.
Interesting.
And we've got a
And
couple of Quest 2s that we use for certain things, but
sure.
predominantly, right, we're Reverb and Valve.
So at this point, you started with 12 headsets, and now you're. What are you at now? What do you
So
have?
we're actually at 12 headsets, but one of
Okay.
those 12 we've got dedicated to this Roto VR chair. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it,
Yeah. Tell
but
me what the Roto VR chair is. What is
yeah,
that?
so it's a sit down experience, but the way they developed it, they've got a head set tracker, and so when
Hmm.
you're in the chair, if you move your head, you look right, left, you look right, the entire chair pivots, and it's got some haptic feedback as well. We've found that roller coaster rides are a
Hmm.
super good experience with this kind of chair. But to be honest, we get people in that are on crutches or have some kind of physical handicap or in a wheelchair, this is a great experience for them too. We can move them into the chair. They can be
Yeah.
sitting down. They can experience what VR has to offer, connected as well.
Okay. And you have how many of those? Just the one, or you
We've
have?
got just the one. Yep.
Okay. Do you plan on expanding that one?
We had thought about expanding with Roto VR, and then we came across the opportunity for these racing simulators.
Hmm.
And so, one of the neat things about Roto VR is you can do joystick, haptic feedback. You can do racing wheels. You can
Hmm.
kind of, make it modular. And so we weren't sure if we wanted to go that route, and we decided that we were just going to go the full-on racing simulator. So we've got, two, professional sims, hydraulics, brake
And
fluid.
are those part of the 12, or are those?
No, those are separate. So we've
Okay.
got 12 VR headsets. We've
Yeah.
got two racing simulators, and then
And the race, just to clarify, the racing simulators are not VR. They're just the
they're both.
screens, or are they?
No, they're both. They can be done in VR.
Gotcha.
They can be
Okay.
done outside of VR. So they've got three monitors
Hmm.
that really is your panorama if you don't have the headset on, and if you've got
Hmm.
the headset on, it really focuses on what we see as the center screen and the
Sure.
virtual reality experience. And you're in the car, you can see the wheels, you can see your body sitting in the chair, the whole 9 yards.
Very cool. So 12 headsets, which includes the Roto chair, and then two racing simulators.
Yep, and that
Um,
private room I talked about earlier, we decided to push the wall back even further, and we were
mhm.
able to put in two golf simulating spaces. And
Oh,
so not only do we have the golf simulators, but those have other software experiences. You can do soccer skills challenges. There's
mhm.
fairground games where you can bowl and skee ball and other things. So it was another interesting way to provide opportunities for the younger kids to do things if VR wasn't working or they got kind of
Yeah,
bored of the VR. And kind of an overflow, right? When the stations were full, we had other places and other experiences for people to take advantage of.
excellent. And so what else do you offer other than that in your place? You mentioned the bar, so that's something
Yeah, so
else
we've
now.
got a
But
beer and wine license. We keep several beers on tap. We keep wine available. We've got daiquiris as well. And so we actually we did a partnership with one of the local pizza places because we knew we kind of needed food, but we don't have a kitchen.
yeah,
And so we kind of leveraged the restaurants in our neighborhood, but we partnered with one of the local pizza places. We've got their offering on our website in our POS system, so customers can really do it all on one transaction, and it's
and
worked
they
out pretty
deliver.
well.
These other places essentially deliver.
Yeah, yeah. So we
That's very
place the
cool.
orders, and the pizzas just show up, and it's all on the single invoice.
Very nice. That makes makes a really interesting place to stick around at.
Yeah, yeah. Great.
Um, and how so with 12 headsets, how are how do you handle tech issues? I guess are you having headsets constantly on? Are they you're constantly chasing one, or how's that work for you?
Yeah, so truth be known, we really don't have a lot of technical issues.
That's great.
Typically, and again, I think you're an arcade owner as well.
Yeah.
There may always be that kind of one headset that kind of gives you some interesting issues.
Hmm.
But we've got some pretty sharp staff that have strong technical skills and abilities. And because we've got 12, if we've
Yeah.
got a challenge with one, we can just reroute people and we can fix it offline and get back online.
So speaking of staff, what is your staff like? How many people do you have?
So we've got three full-time staff members, and then myself and one of the business partners, supplement the staff as needed. I mean, I've got my alcohol serving license, so I can sit
Hmm.
behind the bar and serve. I play golf quite a bit, so when things are happening in the sports simulation room, I can be back there on the racing cars. So yeah, we jump in and help out where needed.
Yeah. And you said you and your partners. How many partners in the business?
So there's three active partners in the business
Hmm.
today. I'd say two super active. One, has another job and it's a full time kind of thing. But three partners.
And you do this full time?
I do it full time, correct?
Excellent. Do you handle things like the marketing stuff, or is that divvied out to the other owners, or do you have people that do that?
Yeah, truth is, we kind of all do it. Most of our marketing, and I'd argue, kind of all of our marketing is really through social media.
Hmm.
We've got some kind of local presence where we work with some of the areas with us. We do a lot of involvement with the schools with fundraisers. But yeah, we kind of as a team collaborate and get the stuff out.
Excellent. Um, so let's talk about Synthesis VR in your arcade. How did you get involved with Synthesis?
Yeah, to be completely candid, we started this business on a different platform. I'm not
Hmm.
sure we knew about Synthesis back in 2018. And I guess what we were seeing from that platform was it had all the basic functionality, but there wasn't any growth. There wasn't any, additions and changes. And
Hmm.
as we were starting to ask questions about kind of what's happening, well, where are you guys going? What about these features? All the rest of that. We just weren't seeing it, and at that point, we really started looking around. I think I had joined the Facebook community at that point, started hearing and seeing more activity around synthesis. And
Right.
that's when we reached out to the team and started, we did our evaluation. Took us a little while because, I think, you got a store this big and you've kind of built yourself on one management platform
Yep.
to switch over overnight with all your games and the training and all the skills required to do it. So
Yeah, it takes a little bit of effort to switch over something you're used to. Yeah.
yeah, so we worked our way through it, and I've heard it described this way, and I like it, so I'm going to use it. We think the original platform we were on was much like an iPhone, right? It was kind of
Hmm.
simple, it had an easy user interface. You didn't have the ability to go tweak a bunch of settings and really get in the nuts and bolts of things. And I think Synthesis is much more like Android, and I'm actually an Android user. I'm a technology guy, and
Hmm.
so the ability to do specific things and have more control over the environment that we had
Yeah.
before was really appealing for us.
Okay. Um, and so obviously it's definitely it's beneficial to your business at this point. What do you see some of the best features of synthesis that you use sort of like, I don't know, uniquely? I'm not sure if that's the right kind of question, but how are you using synthesis in your arcade other than the basic launching sessions, I guess?
Because I'm not the one on a daily basis that does the
Hmm.
launching and the getting in and getting out. But what I will tell you, right, one of the big benefits for us is the ability to schedule across all of our encounters.
Mm.
And prior, right, we were really only kind of able to schedule against the virtual reality headsets that were in the system. And Synthesis gave us an opportunity to not only kind of create the schedule and the bookings for the racing simulators and the golf or the sports room, and so it gave us more of an ability to manage the store, manage the entire
Okay.
offering, where we weren't just getting that before. I mean,
Sure.
the abilities to go drill in and what you can do on the kind of scheduler. I know it's been really beneficial for our guys, right? And being able to launch stuff from a central location, all of those features are really really good.
So other than synthesis, what are the tools you use in your arcade? What are the software tools you use that may integrate into that or may not integrate into that?
Yeah, so we obviously are on Discord and we use some of that for audio communications within the store. I think our guys just we've been working with several different what I'll call remote control tools. So if you look at our store at our kind of check-in station up front, our guys have the ability to turn on, turn off, start, stop everything from that central location, right? So having that kind of ability, I think the guys are using Parsec right now. But for the most part, we're a Windows platform with Synthesis sitting on top from a management perspective, and that's how we run the store.
Excellent. Now, do you license all your content through synthesis?
Today, we are licensing all our content through so all of our virtual reality content is licensed
Okay.
through Synthesis.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's your content list like? Do you have a ton of experiences? You have a small select experiences.
Yeah,
What's that like?
that's actually a great question to allow me to kind of even talk further about some of the things that we're doing. So, the other thing during COVID, we started looking around at where the kind of use cases and the business opportunities for virtual reality were, and started to see a lot of education titles starting to come online. You guys obviously, Synthesis has some education content. The prior
Mhm.
management platform had some. We started reaching out to the developers of those contents to find out what they were doing, what was coming. But essentially, we started a STEM, now STEAM, science, technology, engineering,
Yeah.
arts, and math program, where we have homeschool kids, we have parents that bring their kids in, kids that are doing it on their own, that want more than just the game world, right? So we all
Yeah.
know and understand the use case around gaming, but the use case around learning and education and training and skills development is huge. So we've got that program. So back to kind of your question, we keep about 115 or 120 experiences
That's
on,
yeah,
whether
that's a good
they're,
amount.
multiplayer, single player. We've got a, strong catalog of education content, whether you want to, dissect a frog or, see the Titanic or travel the world. All of those things are available outside of the, the normal super hot or,
Yeah.
Arizona sunshine, right? And so that STEAM program's actually been really good for us, and in fact allowed us to participate in a pilot with a state agency here in Texas, and subsequently we've been awarded that contract. So we actually work specifically with the state agency to do learning skills development type content with their population.
Hmm. Cool. Now, do you find that other than the education content, when you're talking about like the games side of things, do you find that more is better? Do you find that the people only playing a few out of those?
Yeah, so here's what I'll tell you, Nadal. There's probably, the 80-20 rule applies, right? All of our regulars and the people that understand VR, there's probably a set of, 12, 15, 20 tops that we know
Mm-hmm.
get used quite a bit. The rest are for, new people who aren't familiar with VR. A lot of times we'll try to get parents into headsets when their kids are playing, and,
Mm-hmm.
mom's not going to play Super Hot or Arizona Sunshine, but she might want to travel with Google Earth VR or walk with dinosaurs with Nature Treks and do other things. So we kind of keep the extra stuff there, right, so that we're prepared
Right.
to drive it even further.
Okay. And is your content, and again, when it comes to mostly gaming, of course, do you find that it's a multiplayer mostly, or is it single players? Do you know that
Yeah, I'd say we've got
generally?
a pretty even mix. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we have plenty of what I'll call the onesie twosies that come in, but certainly from a anytime three or more come in, that's the first question, right? What can we all do together?
Right.
Certainly when we do corporate events, team building events, right? They're looking for escape the room kind of thing where you can put six or so people in and experience at once, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
have a good mix of both.
Okay, great. Do you know what your top two or three games are?
Yeah, I mean, Arizona Sunshine is definitely a top game for us.
Yeah.
Google Earth VR is a top experience for us. Super Hot for certain generation is big for us. Elvin's Assassins. I mean, believe it or not, one of our first customers in 2018 is a guy that's about 65 years old, and he comes in at 3 o'clock every day when he gets off of his shift and plays Elvin's Assassins, and he's been doing it for the last 4 years. We actually built a
Yeah.
SKU specific for him that isn't on our menu because he's such a regular. It's like Norm at Cheers. It's really cool. So yeah,
All right. Awesome. Um, so you have a launcher, your own launcher.
yeah,
Tell me a little bit about that.
you betcha. So in this current day and age where the buzz of the metaverse is starting to really gain traction. Um, we've actually got a couple of in-house development resources now. We started thinking, okay, what would be a cool kind of first start project? Um, and so we really went down this path of this, interactive launcher. And part of it for us was, when you get a group of 3, 4, 5, 8 people in, for our staff to go one by one to put you in a headset, put the controllers on your wrist, talk to you about all the buttons and all the rest of that, can take a bunch of time if you've got a group of 4, 5, 6, 8 people, right? And
Yeah.
so our notion was, let's develop a launcher that's kind of the Emergent VR Encounter metaverse for kind of framing it. And so when you come in, and we get you checked in and we get your hands washed and we get you ready and we get you to one of our stations, we've all got them numbered. When we ultimately get you in the headset, one of the things the launcher does is it talks you through, with a hologram. It talks you through kind of what the controllers do and what the buttons do, and it talks about
Yeah.
the space, and please stand in here, because we all know the first thing people do in a headset is they start trying to walk, and we don't want to have that happen. But if you have the headset on, you really look around the environment. It is kind of our store in the headset, and so it's a
Oh.
familiar space. We put a
Yeah.
couple of little gadgety things in there to play with. One, just to kind of, get them used to the environment and get them used to the controller so that, they have to use the joystick to extend a laser saber or, those kinds of
Mm.
things. They have to grip and pick things up because we want them familiar with the controllers so that once they get into the experience, they can. So we kind of take them through this journey of, here's kind of, what the equipment is and here's kind of the do's and don'ts and all the rest of that. And then we actually have them turn around and we've got the launcher with all of the games, the kind of tiles of all of the experiences, and then a filter system that they can touch. If you look at your wrist, they can ask for more time. They can call for
So
help. It's kind of really interactive in that way.
so this is integrated with the Synthesis VR
Yeah, I
launcher,
was just
is what
about to
you're
go
saying.
there. The
Okay.
absolute cool thing is it's 100% integrated with synthesis. So if I ask for more time, my guys at the front desk, they see it, they know that they want to put more time in or have a conversation. The tile dashboard of the experiences is connected straight to all of the experiences that we offer through synthesis. The filtering
Mm.
systems is the filter system that we set up via synthesis, and so it's completely integrated, soup to nuts.
Interesting. So primarily, it starts off as a tutorial of the system, and then leads them into the menu system, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, and it's kind of fun and engaging while all of that's going on, right?
Mm. And is this so is this when you put people in the headsets, are you doing a tutorial before, or are you basically putting them in the headset and then they do the tutorial in the
We're doing a
headset?
baseline tutorial,
Hmm.
but we're also talking them through that. Hey, when you get in the headset, one of the things that you're going to see is kind of a helpful tutorial to kind of take this a step further, right? I mean, we talk to people about the headset and the controllers,
Sure.
but we do it in a kind of a more efficient manner now because we know we've got this tool to kind of pick up
Right.
where we might have spent more time.
And this is this something that people can skip? Like they don't have to do the
Absolutely,
tutorial?
absolutely, and
Okay.
we're seeing that, right? The first few times, new customers 100% want to be in it. Some of our regular customers, they know automatically how to skip through it, jump straight to the menu, get to the experiences they want, and go do it. But
Great.
we're seeing customers that actually spend a little time now to kind of take it in and look around and engage with some of the toys that we've kind of put into the environment.
Hmm.
All just kind of enjoying the experience, for lack of a better word, right?
Yeah. And so, and we'll probably play a video of what it's like. So you basically have your arcade inside of the headset. It's something that they can see as if they're there, which they are, but they're in the headset at that point.
Absolutely. So again, we've got big round stickers on each of our stations that have our logo with the number of the station. In the headset,
Mm.
they see. So if you and me come in and play together, I'm going to see you in station 4 next to me in station 3. We can interact in the launcher, but they see the racing sims that are in the middle of the store. They see the 3 monitors. We actually have a live video playing. We've got some logos of our store. We're partnering with some of the businesses in our area to maybe do some advertising. So there's a bunch of
Oh, that's a good idea.
ancillary
Yeah.
opportunities now that this environment exists for us.
Yeah. Do people, and I see this where people put the headset on, they're in a different environment, and then they take the headset off to be like, am I still here? Do you see that in your arcade when you're there, but also there?
Yeah, you know what? With a smile on face, I'd say, yeah, we hope that's the kind of vibe or the feeling that they get. We did enough inside the metaverse for us that it's not a complete one for one exact match,
Right.
but it's enough of a match that that the minute you get in the headset, it's comfortable because hey, I'm still in Emergent, right? But I'm in this metaverse version of it, and it's more virtual, immersive, engaging experience.
Excellent. Excellent. And this is customized to your arcade. It's basically like you said, you had the measurements made, and all the images are of your arcade. Is this something that could potentially be used in other arcades, or what's your is there a do you have a different goal with the launcher?
Yeah,
Are
so
you
so a couple of
something that you're offering?
couple of great questions there. I mean, first and foremost, this specific launcher we kind of designed for our store. could another arcade, if they were interested, adopt this? They could, right? But it wouldn't be their store; it would be our store.
Right.
We've definitely got a roadmap of things that we want to add and how we want to evolve it for ourselves. But we have the capabilities, obviously, to go help an arcade do their store, or we'll probably via the roadmap look at doing I don't want to call it generic, but a kind of an interesting environment launcher that isn't necessarily connected to our store or something specific, but it's got the same kind of experience and deliverable, right?
Right, right. So you did mention that you can see other players in this thing. Is that when we're talking about synthesis, we're talking about in session and out of session. Is that regardless of whether there's a session playing or not?
No, it's clearly just in the launcher, right? I mean, we obviously don't have control outside of the experience, right? If you're
Hmm.
in an escape room, you're in the escape room, and whatever the single player multi.
Right. No, what I meant was like if you just put in the headset and no session has been started from synthesis, will people be able to see each
Yeah,
other, or does a session have to
no,
be
no
started?
session has to be started. Once you get in it, you're in a
Interesting.
live environment.
So it's a shared lobby, I
Yeah,
guess is what I
yeah.
meant.
In a lot of ways, it is, right? It's a launcher, it's a lobby, it's a starting point. But if you're in the station next to me, I see your headset, I see your hands. We can even throw lasers back and forth to each other, catch them, pick them up, extend them, do kind of interactive, engaging things.
And then once a session starts, that's when the game list appears, or that's when the hologram tutorial
No, so
starts.
that's all there, right? They just
Wow.
when they
Okay.
see the
Yeah.
tiles in the dashboard, they just won't be able to actually get in the game until the session
Right.
started. But I mean, for us, we're going to start the session when we get them in the headset, because we don't know if if they've been here 15 times, they want to just grab the game and go,
Hmm.
versus they're going to spend a little more time engaging in the environment and anything in between. So we very rarely put somebody in a headset that a session hasn't already been started.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. And so people could potentially, whether it's immediately in the future or as the roadmap goes down, they'll probably be able to use this software in their own arcades, not tied just to Emergent
Yeah, I mean,
Encounter.
nothing we did is proprietary in the sense that Arcade ABC in any state, city, country around the world couldn't
Hmm.
do something very similar. Like we talked about, we're extremely, integrated with Synthesis as a platform. So being able to snap it in for their use case would be pretty easy.
Excellent. And so, if people were interested in talking to you about this sort of thing, how would they reach you?
Yeah, I would say the best way is, if you go to our website, there's an email alias there. It's called contact at Emergent VR Encounter. And anybody that
Mhm.
wants to send an email to that email alias, I answer it on a regular basis. And if you're in the Facebook community, you're welcome to hit me up on the Facebook community, and we can kind of take it offline from there. Either way's fine.
Excellent. And then looping back to synthesis, obviously you're now, to a certain extent, I don't want to use this in a negative context, but you're reliant on synthesis because that's part of your launching environment. But that aside, how would you rate it in terms of like, or actually, how would you feel about recommending this to a fellow arcade owner? Recommending synthesis, not specifically your
Yeah, no,
launcher or
I'd
anything.
feel great doing it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know enough of the benefits, and certainly my guys can come to the table with a lot more. We spent a lot of time looking in the beginning on what was out there, and there wasn't a whole lot. But I think the thing we like about what Synthesis does is there's always an evolution. There's always things going on, but the ability for me to control things down to the specifics where I
Hmm.
want to be, I think ultimately is a benefit for us.
Excellent. And you find that you say there's this constant development. Is it something that is community driven as well as the Synthesis VR team driven? Do you find that they're communicative? I don't know if that's the right word. If they're good at communicating about new features that come from the community, not just from
Yeah,
Synthesis.
I don't see all the requests that come in, but I know my own experience would suggest that the team's very open to listen, and kind of recognizes, right, that the feedback and the input from their community is what's going to make us all successful. And so, seen some good positive things from that.
Excellent. Is there anything else that you want to add that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there is. I appreciate the time. It's kind of fun talking about kind of where we're at. Always interested to hear, where other people's journeys have started and taken them. But we're pretty excited about where we're at. We're pretty excited about this notion of the launcher and what it can bring to us, and excited about the content. Hopefully, and the use cases as they evolve will be more readily available for arcades like us, and we'll just continue to grow the space.
Excellent. And one last question before we wrap up. Other than the launcher that you're working on in terms of the future, do you have any specific things that are happening with the arcade that are coming up either now or a year from now? Any changes that you plan?
Yeah, today I think we're pretty stable. I mean, all the normal and obvious thoughts about what's next come to us just like they do, most of the others out there. Whether it's expansion, in the current space, or it's, across town, or any of those other things. But we're pretty focused on nailing the business model and evolving, where we're at right now.
Great. Andy, thank you very much for joining us, and thanks for those of you watching for joining us in the conversation. We'll see you all
Yep,
soon.
thanks.